Hello, today we are answering all of your juicy questions about travel nursing, so let's get into it. All right, so many questions about travel nursing, so I'm going to answer everything today. I did ask on Instagram a bunch of questions. I actually asked on YouTube as well, and nobody asked me anything. I think it's because on YouTube it's not anonymous, where Instagram it is, which is kind of funny. That just shows how the human mind works. But I got tons of questions on Instagram. So I'm on my phone here and I'm gonna answer all of them for you. If you're not following me on Instagram, you should go check it out at Christina B TV, because I do a lot of polls and I do answer questions like this on Instagram as well. There just seems to be a lot of curiosity with travel nursing. I know a lot of you that follow me are nurses, and the ones who are not, I think you're just curious about it. Okay, so first question, which I got this a lot, which you should probably already know the answer, is where are you going? And I'm in the STL, St. Louis, Missouri. I did not pick St. Louis for any special reason. I don't know anybody here. It's not that I love the city. I honestly, if we're being honest, it was the highest paying job that was open at the time. That was also close enough to Dallas where I could drive here. Next question, what does it involve? So basically travel nursing is the same thing as regular nursing, except you're traveling to a location that requires a travel nurse because they're short-staffed or somebody left on maternity leave, whatever the case may be, they need nurses, so they're willing to pay an agency to bring them in. So you no longer work for the hospital system. You are now kind of like a contract worker. You work with an agency and you have a lot more control over where you're gonna work because you pick the assignments, you pick the location. Once you're in the location and you're working, you're honestly doing the same thing that every other nurse does. You don't do any more work because you're an agency nurse. If anything, you do less work because you don't have to be part of the politics. You don't have to go to staff meetings. You don't have to work a second overtime without being paid for it. If the facility does not want you to work overtime, you get to leave early on whatever your last day is that week, which is pretty cool. How often do you stay in one place? So this really just depends on your contract. Most travel nurse contracts are 13 weeks. I got an 8-week contract, and that's pretty rare. I don't see that too often, but I took the 8-week contract because it was my first contract and I figured let me get my feet wet. So the area of nursing I will be working in is the same area of nursing that I have always worked in, which is oncology. Oncology means cancer. I work with cancer patients. I think sometimes there's a misguided perception that once you're a nurse, you do any type of nursing. It doesn't really work like that. Just like when you go to your family doctor, they are not going to do a skin test on you. They'll send you to a dermatologist. Everyone kind of specializes. In nursing, it's definitely easier than a doctor to move from one specialty to the next. But once you get in a specialty, just because you are a nurse doesn't mean you know how to do everything. So for example, if I took a contract on an oncology outpatient unit, which is what I do outpatient, I no longer do inpatient, they can't send me to the ER. I've never worked in the ER in my life. And even though I'm a registered nurse, it's a totally different field. Just like they could not take an ICU nurse and send them to outpatient oncology, they probably have no idea how to hang chemo or how to do a chemo calculation. It's just you wouldn't have your dermatologist go deliver a baby. It's the same thing. So when you're working for your contracted agency, you get to pick what specialty you feel comfortable in. And that's why travel nursing is probably better for people who have a little bit of experience under their belt, because you are not going to get a lot of training on the job. You're going to get, if you're lucky, maybe you'll get a week, but it's usually just a couple days. So you have to be very confident in your skills. Okay, so people want to know if your agency pays for all your travel. So yes, but not the way you think they do. So you can get them to get housing for you, but I highly discourage you, if you're thinking about doing that, to do that, because a big way you make money as a travel nurse is from the tax-free stipend that they give you. They give you money every single week that's tax-free for you to use towards housing and meals. But obviously what you do with that money is whatever you do with it. They're not monitoring what you do with the money. It's not that money has to go towards housing. So if they give you $2,000 a week for meals and housing and your rent is $2,000 for the month, then those extra $6,000 is for you to pocket. So it's super lucrative, but travel nursing isn't for everyone, and you can do local nursing. One of my friends does it, and that just means you have to pay taxes on the full amount. So you do not get a stipend. You have to be 50 miles from your home address to qualify as a travel nurse, but that doesn't mean you can't be in the same state. So for example, I live in Dallas, but if I wanted to maybe just drive a couple hours to Austin, I could be a travel nurse there. I could be one in Dallas, but then I would not get the tax-free stipend, which is a huge way you make money as a travel nurse. Okay, so someone wanted to know how you decide what your home is. So for me, my home is Dallas. You have to have a home to be a travel nurse. You can't just like be a nomad traveling, which would be really cool if you could do that. But unfortunately, you cannot do that. You have to have a home base for tax purposes. So you will pay taxes in whatever state you are working as a travel nurse. So for example, my paychecks, the state of Missouri taxes my paychecks. Because I live in Texas, because that's my home base, that's where I own a home, I do not have to pay Texas taxes because Texas does not have state income tax. But let's say I lived in Georgia. Let's say my home base was Georgia and I was here in Missouri. The way the taxes work in the United States, you would actually have to also pay taxes in Georgia. So that part kind of sucks. But at the same time, you're making so much more money as a travel nurse, especially now, like post-COVID days, that it's still worth it. Even if you live in a state that collects income taxes and you're gonna get taxes taken out twice, it's still worth it. But if you live in a no state income tax like Florida and Texas, then it's kind of a win-win. So how often will I be traveling? So that is the beauty of being a travel nurse. You can take off as much time in between assignments as you want, unless you are getting your healthcare benefits through the agency. If you're doing your healthcare benefits through the agency, they don't let you take more than I think 21 days or 25 days, something like that. I'm sure with every agency it's different. So about 3 to 3.5 weeks in between each assignment they let you do to still be covered on health insurance. But a lot of travelers are on their spouse's health insurance. Some are, some aren't. But I still think 3 weeks in between each assignment is pretty awesome. But like I said, you have control. It really just depends if you do health insurance through them. And you can always get private health insurance if you prefer. There's lots of opportunities for really any of that. So as a travel nurse, you do not get paid time off. So however many weeks you take off in between assignments, you are not going to get paid for that. So that's definitely motivation to pick up another job. It just really depends. You just got to be good at saving money because you're going to be making a lot of money in a fast amount of time, and then you're going to be taking some breaks and not getting paid during those breaks. So someone asked how this will impact my marriage. I actually got quite a few questions about that. I think the idea of like being married and being a travel nurse is like, ooh, taboo, but I kind of thought that myself. And then I was like, why does it matter if I'm married or not? Like, let's do this. And I sat down and talked to my husband about it. And I'm like, look how much money I can make. And he's like, that's insane. Like, you definitely should do it. And with every relationship, that's going to look different. A lot of my friends that are travel nurses, their husband travels with them. So it's perfect. My husband's an attorney, so he can't travel with me the entire time because there are times where he needs to go to court. He has things he has to do, but he is able to come up here on the weekends, and I sometimes go home on the weekends as well. So we make it work. It's really not that big of a deal. We only go like 4 days without seeing each other, and for our relationship, it works. Not everybody is able to do that, but for us, it's going to put us financially years ahead. If I would have just stayed in Dallas and worked a full-time job making nowhere near what I'm making now as a travel nurse. Is this something I'm gonna do forever? Probably not. It's definitely not something I'm gonna do forever and ever in years to come, but for now, it's awesome. So someone asked if I thought it would affect my YouTube channel, which I thought was like a really sweet question. No, because I do pre-film things, so I actually have stuff that I film in Dallas when I go home and visit, and I've just been doing YouTube long enough that I have a good system, so no worries. And it seems like you guys are really enjoying this travel nurse content, so I'm kind of, you know, incorporating that into my YouTube channel as well. So you're kind of getting, you know, fashion, nursing, luxury, like all the good stuff. I have to say, you guys are very polite. I am shocked that nobody asked me how much money I'm making. Like, I'm so shocked. But if that is something you want want to know, I'm happy to share with you how much money travel nurses make, even how much I personally make. Leave me a comment below and we can make a video about it. I am here for that. Let's get some real juicy questions, you guys. All right, I'll talk to you in the next video. If you like this one, I'm gonna leave another one related to nursing right here. Go check it out and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.